Chapter 15, Part 3, Establishing Dominance. In the midst of a moonlit night, shadows danced like specters around the sleek figure of a cat-like assassin. Clad in form-fitting black leather, her movements were as silent as a whisper as she prowled through the dimly lit alleys, her amber eyes gleaming with a predatory intensity. Her target lay ahead, a high-profile mark whose demise would fetch a handsome reward. With grace and precision, she approached the designated building, her senses keen and alert for any sign of danger. But just as she reached the entrance, a chilling sensation crept over her, causing her to pause mid-step. From the darkness emerged a figure unlike any she had ever encountered before. Towering above her, the creature resembled an owl in form, with piercing eyes that seemed to penetrate the very depths of her soul. Its feathers were dark as midnight, and its presence exuded an aura of ancient malevolence. The assassin's instinct screamed at her to flee, but her pride and determination held her ground. With a lethal grace, she unsheathed her blades, poised to defend herself against this otherworldly intruder. Yet before she could strike, the creature spoke, its voice a haunting echo in the stillness of the night. "You trespass upon my hunting grounds, little predator. The souls you seek are not yours to claim." It croaked, its voice as cold as the grave. "Wow," the assassin named Taylor says. "You are really ugly. Like someone threw an Audubon book and a bag of shit together in a blender." Ixtab's beak clicks in irritation. "I did not choose my form. But being visually pleasing is not important when comparing strength." Taylor leaps onto a roof behind the pseudo-infernal with incredible speed and agility, surprising the creature. "Oh, I have the edge over you in that category as well. Honestly, if I didn't refuse to work for free, you'd already be dead." Ixtab looks down at the two small daggers buried in his breast feathers. Black gore leaks around the wounds. "I choose you as my next prey," he growls, extending his midnight wings. Two featherless arms with sword-like claws slowly rip free from the flesh at his sides. "You seem a worthy challenge to my inaugural hunt." "I hope you know that I don't do prolonged battles," Taylor says, already behind the creature once more. "I get paid by the kill, not an hourly wage." Ixtab takes a step forward but pauses, his eyes widening as a nearly invisible thread tightens around his throat. As Taylor's gaze locked onto Ixtab, a subtle transformation overtook her features, imbuing her with an unmistakable feline grace and intensity. Her amber eyes, already sharp and predatory, seemed to narrow slightly, taking on a gleam reminiscent of a stalking cat, sizing up its prey. The contours of her face shifted subtly, the angles becoming sharper, more defined, evoking the sleek elegance of a panther on the prowl. Her movements, always fluid and silent, took on an even more pronounced feline quality. Each step she took was imbued with a sinuous grace, her body flowing seamlessly through the shadows like a hunting predator. Her senses already keen sharpened to a razor's edge, attuned to the slightest hint of danger in her surroundings. But it wasn't just in her physical demeanor that Taylor's feline nature revealed itself. It was in the way that she approached her work, with a hunter's instinct and a predator's patience. Like a cat stalking its prey, she moved with calculated precision, waiting for the perfect moment to strike with lethal efficiency. Her features may have appeared more feline in that moment, but it was a reflection of the essence of who she was, a sleek and deadly assassin, a creature of the night, who moved with the silent grace and deadly precision of a hunting cat. "I don't fight with honor or any of that kind of nonsense," Taylor whispers from behind. her features becoming distinctly more inhuman as she tightens the garrote wire, causing it to briefly become visible with a slight shine just before decapitating Ixtab. With a slight flick of her wrist, Taylor shook the remnants of the black ichor from her metal wire, the dark substance splattering against the cold pavement like drops of ink in the moonlight. A wry smirk tugged at the corners of her lips as she surveyed the scene before her, the remnants of her encounter with Ixtab, the revenant creature. "I'm definitely billing the client for this," she muttered under her breath, her voice laced with a mixture of annoyance and amusement. The unexpected interruption had undoubtedly added an extra layer of complexity to her mission, one that she fully intended to compensate for in a fee. Despite the inconvenience, Taylor remained unruffled, her confidence unshaken by the supernatural encounter. If anything, it only served to reinforce her reputation as a formidable assassin capable of facing down even the most otherworldly adversaries with ruthless efficiency. With a practiced fluidity, she stowed away her garrote wire, the glint of metal disappearing into the folds of her attire. Adjusting her grip on her weapon, she cast a final glance over her surroundings, ensuring that no trace of her presence remained. Satisfied that her work was done, Taylor melted back into the shadows, her steps light and purposeful as she disappeared into the night. Former provost to Master Honorius Select and peer of the rogue Adrian Scrimauer, Desmond Orono, was once a celebrated figure in Endelgian's magical community. His reputation, however, was shattered after a disastrous mission aimed at apprehending Scrimauer. During that mission, the team Desmond led was ambushed by Scrimauer's dark forces. Among those who fell was Cyrus Nondo, the elder brother to Votus, one of Desmond's closest allies. Cyrus's death was brutal and swift, a stark testament to Scrimauer's ruthless power. Desmond fought valiantly, but was ultimately overwhelmed, unable to save his comrades or capture the rogue mage. Distraught and consumed by guilt over his perceived weakness and failure, Desmond renounced his title of master and refused to return to Endelgian. His shame drove him into exile, and to the other mages, Master Orono is counted among the many victims of Adrian Scrimauer. Now in the present, the pseudo-infernal Zillipochtel prowls the woods outside an old barn, dropping the lifeless, drained corpse of a man to the ground with a sickening thud. The creature's elongated worm-like neck rotates a full 360 degrees, its hollow, glowing eye scanning the dilapidated surroundings for more prey. Zillipochtel's senses are acute, particularly attuned to the vibrant life energy it had detected nearby earlier, the very essence that had drawn it to this place. Yet now that tantalizing presence eludes it. The creature's claws scrape against the cold ground as it prowls, every movement deliberate and ominous, exuding an aura of death and decay. Despite the powerful cloaking spell concealing Desmond, the beast's instinctual hunger drives it to continue its relentless search, knowing its prey must be close. Zillipochtel's body is elongated and sinuous, stretching up to 12 feet in length, with the sleek muscular build of a giant otter. Its fur, once lush and glossy, is now a matted, patchy, mottled mixture of dark browns and blacks interspersed with sickly pale patches where the flesh seems almost translucent. His eyes, once bright and inquisitive, are now hollow and glowing with an eerie, unholy light, giving him a piercing, almost hypnotic gaze. The head of Zillipochtel retains some otter-like features, with sharp needle-like teeth lining a wide, gaping maw. The shape of the head, however, is reminiscent of a hammerhead worm, with eye stalks extending to the extreme hemispheres. His whiskers, however, elongated into long, wiry tendrils that twitch and writhe as if possessing a life of their own, sensing the life energy of his prey. His nostrils flare with each breath, emitting a fetid, deathly stench that precedes its presence. His limbs are a disturbing blend of otter and something far more unnatural. The powerful webbed paws are tipped with elongated bony claws that scrape and tear as he moves, leaving behind deep gouges and a trail of decayed vegetation. His gait is a disconcerting mix of fluid otter-like grace and jerky unnatural movements, reminiscent of a marionette controlled by unseen hands. The flatworm aspect of Zilopotchtal also manifests in his skin, which is slick and glistening, with a faint iridescent sheen that hints at the slimy texture beneath the fur. His underbelly is particularly grotesque, where the fur thins out to reveal a writhing, pulsating mass of flatworm-like segments that undulate and ripple as he moves. These segments occasionally split and rejoin, a sickening display of his unnatural biology. As he stalks his human prey, Zilopotchtal's body seems to shimmer and blur at the edges, an effect of his undead powers that allows him to blend into shadows and appear almost ethereal. His movements are silent, his presence barely detectable until he is nearly upon his victim. The air around him grows cold, and a sense of dread and despair precedes his attack, sapping the strength and will of those who encounter him. In the moments before he strikes, Zilopotchtal rears up on his hind legs, his full height and terrible form revealed. His jaws open wide, emitting a soul-chilling hiss that seems to echo with the wails of the damned. His eyes lock onto his prey, and the tendrils on his face extend towards the victim, ready to drain their life energy and add his soul to his collection. Zilopotchtal pauses, nostrils flaring as he sniffs the air, his wiry whiskers twitching with heightened sensitivity. His glowing, hollow eyes scan the area with an almost predatory precision. Despite Desmond's magical concealment, an eerie sense of knowing radiates from Zilopotchtal, as if the creature can sense the very essence of the mage's life force, pulsing through the veil of invisibility. Desmond holds his breath, willing his heartbeat to slow. He watches as Zilopotchtal's elongated, sinewy body undulates closer, the creature's patchy fur glistening and flatworm-like body catching glimpses of moonlight filtering through the canopy. Each movement is both fluid and unnaturally jerky, a disturbing dance of grace and decay. The stench of death precedes Zilopotchtal, an acrid smell that makes Desmond's eyes water despite his wards against the creature's aura. He knows the beast is drawn to life energy, and despite its best efforts, some intangible signature must be giving him away. He tightens his grip on his staff, fingers brushing against the runes etched into the wood, preparing a spell in case he needs to defend himself. As Zilopotchtal draws nearer, Desmond notices the tendrils on his face extending and probing the air, almost as if tasting the magical essence that cloaks him. The creature's eyes narrow, and a low, rumbling hiss escapes its throat, sending a shiver down Desmond's spine. In a desperate attempt to evade detection, Desmond silently weaves a spell, a complex incantation designed to mask his life force entirely. The air around him shimmers momentarily as the magic takes hold, blending his presence more seamlessly into the surroundings. Yet Zilopotchtal remains undeterred, its senses seemingly piercing through even the most advanced magical subterfuge. What is that thing? Desmond wonders in absolute horror, keeping his presence concealed with cloaking magic. Is it a demon? Some kind of creature from the wastes? It feeds off life energy like a revenant, but it seems more intelligent than a typical undead. I'm pretty sure it was looking specifically for me, even if it could not sense me directly. I really shouldn't take any chance leaving it alive. It's already killed several people. Who knows how many more might die if it continues to go about its business. As Zilopotchtal prowls the area searching for the vibrant life energy it sensed, Desmond's mind races. He knows he simply cannot stand by and allow more innocent lives to be taken by this abomination. The sight of the drained corpse, a stark reminder of what is at stake, steels his resolve. His hesitation melts away, replaced by a determination to act, even if it means further compromising his own soul. Desmond's strong sense of justice, a core part of his being, propels him forward. He understands that inaction is a choice in itself, one that results in more death and suffering. The moral lines may have blurred since his days as a mage, but his commitment to doing what is right remains unbroken. The struggle within him, between light and dark, justice and compromise, shapes his path, making him more determined to face the monstrous creature and put an end to its reign of terror, no matter the personal cost. "Where is you?" Zilopachtal growls. "I know you is hiding here." Desmond watches in growing horror as Zilopachtal rears up on its hind legs, towering over the foliage with its full monstrous height. The creature's maw opens wide, revealing rows of needle-like teeth as it lets out a bone-chilling roar. The sound reverberates through the trees, a haunting echo of the damned that rattles Desmond to its core. Realizing the further concealment is futile, Desmond knows he must act. Summoning his courage, he channels his energy into a powerful offensive spell, hoping to catch the undead abomination off guard. With a swift motion, he releases the spell, a blazing surge of arcane energy aimed directly at Zilopachtal. The force erupts in a blinding flash as the spell strikes its target, illuminating the night and momentarily obscuring Zilopachtal from view. Desmond takes this opportunity to sprint through the trees, heart racing as he puts as much distance as possible between himself and the relentless creature. The roar of Zilopachtal behind him tells him that the fight is far from over, but for now he has bought himself precious time. Desmond dashes into an abandoned building, the crumbling structure providing a temporary refuge from the relentless pursuit of Zilopachtal. He barrels through the decrepit entrance, scanning the dim, dust-filled interior for a defensive position. The air is thick with the scent of decay and mildew, but Desmond has no time to dwell on the oppressive atmosphere. As he takes cover behind a fallen beam, the sound of Zilopachtal's approach grows louder, a mix of scraping claws and the sickening slither of its flatworm-like underbelly. Desmond steadies his breathing, fingers tracing the runes on his staff as he prepares for the inevitable confrontation. The creature bursts through the entrance with a bone-chilling roar. Desmond reacts instantly, raising his hands and conjuring a barrier of shimmering blue arcane energy. Zilopachtal slams into the barrier with a resounding thud, its claws screeching against the magical shield. Desmond capitalizes on the momentary pause, launching a volley of firebolts from his hands. The bolts streak through the air, illuminating the room with their fiery glow. Zilopachtal twists its body with unnatural agility, avoiding some of the bolts, while others scorch its patchy fur, eliciting a screech of pain. With a flick of his wrist, Desmond sends a gust of wind to push Zilopachtal back, but the creature anchors itself with its powerful claws, resisting the force. It counters with a swipe of its elongated, bony claw, shattering the barrier and forcing Desmond to dive to the side. He rolls to his feet, narrowly avoiding another swipe as he conjures a series of illusory duplicates to confuse the monster. Zilopachtal's eyes dart between the illusions, hesitating for a split second. Desmond seizes the opportunity, weaving a spell that sends jagged spikes of ice shooting up from the ground. The ice impales one of Zilopachtal's hind legs, causing it to stumble. The beast retaliates by whipping its tendrils towards Desmond, each one crackling with dark energy. Desmond deflects the tendrils with a shield spell, but the force sends him skidding backward. He crashes into a decaying wooden pillar, splinters flying as the structure groans. Ignoring the pain, Desmond channels his energy into a powerful burst of arcane light, aiming to blind Zillipochtel temporarily. The room floods with radiant light, and Zillipochtel lets out a deafening roar, its sensitive eyes overwhelmed. Desmond doesn't waste a second rushing forward with a conjured staff of brightly glowing light. He swings the staff in a wide arc, releasing a crescent wave of energy that slices through the air and hits Zillipochtel squarely in the chest, sending the creature sprawling back. The Zillipochtel recovers quickly, its resilience fueled by its undead nature. It coils its body and leaps at Desmond, fangs bared and claws outstretched. Desmond braces himself, using his staff to parry the claws, while simultaneously casting a lightning spell. The electrical charge courses through Zillipochtel, causing it to convulse violently. The creature's movements become more erratic, its attacks more desperate. Desmond maintains his defense, each clash of staff and claw sending sparks flying. He maneuvers around the room using the debris and the fallen beams to his advantage, creating barriers and traps to slow Zillipochtel's advance. I suppose one hand should be enough power to destroy this thing. Desmond staggers back, realizing that Zillipochtel is far too resilient and powerful for him to defeat alone. The creature rises from the rubble, its body still smoking, but its malevolent energy undiminished. Desperation grips Desmond as he watches the abomination advance, its hollow eyes fixated on it, draining his life energy. With no other options, Desmond grits his teeth and makes a decision that he has long dreaded. He whispers an incantation, one that calls upon forbidden blood magic. As he speaks the ancient words, the air around him grows thick with dark energy. He feels a sharp pain in his left arm as he draws a ritual dagger and slices a deep cut from his wrist to his elbow. Blood flows freely, pooling at his feet as he completes the summoning circle. The room darkens and a cold wind sweeps through the building. The blood at Desmond's feet begins to glow with a crimson light, and from it rises the demonic saint of betrayal, Eliagos. The demon manifests as a towering, shadowy figure with eyes like burning coals and wings that span the width of the room. Its presence exudes an aura of treachery and power. Desmond feels a searing pain as the demonic energy flows into his left arm. His flesh warps and changes, veins turning black as the power of Eliagos takes hold. His arm transforms, becoming a twisted, muscular limb, covered in dark, infernal markings. The pain is excruciating, but with it comes an overwhelming surge of strength. Just an arm, Eliagos hisses, a grotesque mouth appearing on the back of Desmond's mutated arm. Are you sure you don't want to offer me a greater tribute? You cannot be trusted not to take over my body completely. Oh? I'm insulted. Why do you say such hurtful things? You are literally the personification of betrayal. It is in your very nature not to be trustworthy. True, but it is still all in the way you say it. We higher beings have feelings too. What is this feeling? Zillipochtel whispers. That is not a human. Is that fear that you are experiencing, dead one? Eliagos asks, laughing. Is that a new sensation? Or do you remember the feeling of being helpless and haunted? Being in excruciating pain before being torn apart and devoured? Shut up! Zillipochtel shouts, flaring out his energy in a violent storm of black lightning. Touched a nerve, I see. Stop taunting the creature and just kill it. I don't need to draw any more attention than I already have, Desmond says. You're no fun, Des. Why couldn't I get stuck with a more upbeat rogue magician? We are both outcasts, you and I. Not even the other saints can trust the great betrayer. I cannot help that I am the best at what I do. Zilopachtal, sensing the shift in power, hesitates, but then charges forward, unwilling to relinquish its prey. Desmond raises his transformed arm, now imbued with demonic might. As Zilopachtal lunges, Desmond meets the attack head-on, his new arm clashing with the creature's claws in a burst of dark energy. The impact sends shockwaves through the building, debris raining down around them. Desmond's demonic arm deflects Zilopachtal's claws with ease, the strength of Eliagos flowing through him. He retaliates with a powerful punch, the force of which sends the undead beast staggering backward. Desmond presses his advantage, channeling Eliagos' power to conjure dark tendrils that lash out and ensnare Zilopachtal. The tendrils wrap around the creature, binding its limbs and constricting its movements. Zilopachtal thrashes and roars, but the demonic bindings hold firm. With a roar of his own, Desmond raises his staff in his right hand and summons a vortex of dark flames. The fire, tainted with the essence of Eliagos, swirls around him before he directs it towards Zilopachtal. The flames engulf the creature, their unnatural heat searing through its undead flesh and bone. Zilopachtal howls in agony, its form writhing within the inferno. Desmond pours all of his remaining energy into the attack, the demonic power amplifying his magic to an unprecedented level. The flames burn brighter and hotter until, with a final deafening screech, Zilopachtal is consumed, its body vanishing within the smoke. Too easy, Eliagos groans. I wasted more energy making a mouth to speak through than what I actually expended in battle. Zilopachtal roars loudly before rushing from the smoke at Desmond with his full speed and power. The ground splits beneath the pseudo-infernal's feet, and the ground all around them causes the building to collapse. Eliagos blocks with his shoulder before Desmond pivots and strikes Zilopachtal with a burst of magical energy from his other hand. The attack sends the undead crashing through a wall back outside. Zilopachtal stands, shaking off the previous exchange. Is this a random hunt, or did someone send you after me? Desmond asks. I do not even know who you are, Zilopachtal growls in frustration. I was supposed to seek out strongest power and consume them to prove my worth to my creator and the king. I would say that you have failed spectacularly in that task, Eliagos laughs. No, Desmond corrects the saint. He did indeed seek out and find the strongest power. Unfortunately for him, it was too much for him to overcome. I am not beaten yet, Zilopachtal screams, its voice a guttural blend of fury and desperation. The creature's hollow eyes blaze with malevolent energy as it leaps at Desmond, claws extended and maw open in a nightmarish snarl. Desmond braces himself, but before he can react, the demonic entity Eliagos, still partially tethered to his body through the blood magic contract, manifests with sudden and overwhelming force. Eliagos' dark, shadowy form engulfs Desmond's left arm, extending to meet the charging abomination. The demon's hand, grotesquely powerful, grabs Zilopachtal by the face mid-leap. The creature's momentum is halted instantly. Zilopachtal's struggles are futile against the vice-like grip of the demon. With a sickening crunch, Eliagos' hand tightens, effortlessly crushing the pseudo-infernal's skull. Black ichor, thick and viscous, sprays from the destroyed head, splattering across the floor and walls. The creature's body twitches and convulses before going limp, lifeless and defeated. Desmond watches in stunned silence, a mixture of relief and horror washing over him. The sheer ease with which Eliagos dispatched Zilopotl is a stark reminder of the power now flowing through his cursed arm, and the danger that comes with it. "That was boring," Eliagos' voice echoes, dripping with disdain and a hint of amusement. "Don't bring me out again unless it's worth my time. And by the way, I'm keeping the arm." With those chilling words, Eliagos' consciousness recedes, leaving Desmond to face the aftermath. The demonic presence vanishes, but the mark of the pact remains. Desmond's left arm, once a vessel of unimaginable strength, now hangs blackened and lifeless at his side. The skin is charred, veins like dark tendrils pulsed faintly with residual dark magic. It felt numb, devoid of any sensation or vitality. Desmond sinks to his knees, the weight of exhaustion and the enormity of his actions crashing down on him. The room is silent, save for the faint dripping of black ichor from his ruined arm. He stares at the monstrous remains of Zilopotl, the reality of his victory marred by the profound loss of his own humanity. He flexes his right hand, feeling the reassuring grip of his staff, the familiar pulse of its runes offering a small measure of comfort. Yet the lifelessness of his left arm is a constant reminder of the cost he has paid. The power he wielded came at a great price, and the words of Eliagos echo in his mind, a chilling reminder of the pact he made. Desmond rises slowly, wincing as the pain and fatigue racks his body. The fight is over, but the battle within him is only intensified. The sense of justice that drives him now carries a darker edge, tempered by the knowledge that he wields power from a source he cannot fully control. He must find a way to reconcile this new reality, to use the demonic strength wisely, or risk being consumed by it entirely. Undisclosed location: Silver Fox Headquarters, North America. As the dimensional rift tore open with a deafening roar, the forest outside the military base of the Silver Fox organization was thrown into chaos. From the swirling vortex of darkness emerged Kissin, the bear crocodile pseudo-infernal, its massive form silhouetted against the backdrop of the trees. With a thunderous roar that echoed through the forest, Kissin surveyed its surroundings with predatory eyes, its senses keenly attuned to the presence of any potential threats. As soldiers emerged from the base, their weapons raised in a desperate attempt to stop the creature, Kissin's lips curled into a savage snarl, its monstrous form bristling with primal fury. With lightning speed, Kissin lunged forward, its massive jaws snapping shut with bone-crushing force as it tore through the ranks of the soldiers with ease. Bullets ricocheted off its thick hide as they were mere pebbles, the soldiers' futile attempts to stop the creature only serving to further enrage it. One by one, the soldiers fell before the unstoppable onslaught of Kissin, their bodies torn asunder by the creature's razor-sharp claws and teeth. Blood stained the forest floor as the air filled with the anguished cries of the fallen, their valiant efforts to defend their base proving to be in vain against the overwhelming might of the pseudo-infernal. But even as the soldiers fought bravely to the last, Kissin sensed that there was someone stronger lurking within the confines of the base. With a predatory gleam in its eyes, the creature turned its attention towards the looming structure ahead, its primal instincts driving it ever onward in search of its next prey. As more soldiers rushed out from the base like disturbed ants from a hill, their shouts and commands filling the air with urgency, Kissin turned its attention towards the new arrivals with a predatory snarl. With lightning speed, the creature surged forward, its massive claws slashing through the air with deadly precision, as it tore through the ranks of the soldiers like a scythe through wheat. Bullets flew and grenades exploded in a cacophony of sound and fury. The Kishin seemed to shrug off the attacks with contemptuous ease. Its thick hide offered little resistance to the soldiers' weapons, and its massive frame shrugged off the blasts as if they were mere gusts of wind. One by one the soldiers fell before the relentless onslaught of Kishin, their valiant efforts to defend their base ultimately proving futile against the overwhelming might of the pseudo-infernal. With each swipe of its claws and snap of its jaws, the creature left a trail of destruction in its wake, its savage roars echoing through the forest like a thunderstorm on the horizon. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers stood little chance against the ferocity of Kishin. Their weapons and tactics, unable to match the sheer brute force of the creature. As their fallen comrades lay scattered on the ground, their bodies torn and broken by the relentless assault, a sense of desperation began to grip those who remained. "You won't believe this," Mulder shouts as the alarms all begin to blare loudly. "We're under attack again." "More fucking devils?" Gator asks angrily. He grips his Yazatan blade tightly in anticipation of battle. "Honestly," Mulder whispers, "I have no idea what it is." "Guess we're earning our paychecks this week, boys," Gator says with a sigh. "You're getting paid for this?" Royce jokes. Undeterred by the growing casualties, Kishin pressed forward, its primal instincts driving it ever onward as it closed in on the main facility. It did not care for the small fry. The weak humans were merely a way to grow its strength before the true challenge. The king ordered each of them to seek out a strong opponent, when ready, and Kishin could sense that an exceptionally powerful life force was just beyond its reach inside the building. The more soldiers that attempted to stop Kishin, the more frustrated the creature would become for having to wait longer. As it approached the fortified walls, the creature seemed to grow even more ferocious, its massive form bristling with primal fury as it prepared to breach the defenses. Mounted automatic turrets lined the perimeter of the facility, their barrels trained on the approaching threat as they unleashed a hail of bullets in a desperate attempt to stop Kishin in its tracks. But the creature seemed unfazed by the onslaught, its thick hide offering supreme resistance to the barrage of gunfire as it charged forward with single-minded determination. With a deafening roar, Kishin crashed through the defensive line, its massive claws tearing through the metal frames of the turrets with ease as it plowed onward towards its objective. Bullets ricocheted off its thick hide like raindrops against a stone wall, the creature's primal roars drowning out the sound of the gunfire as it closed in on its target. One by one, the mounted turrets fell before the relentless onslaught of Kishin, their metal frames twisted and mangled beyond recognition by the creature's unstoppable fury. With each turret destroyed, the creature seemed to grow even more powerful, its primal instincts driving it ever onward as it closed in on the heart of the facility. As the chaos of battle raged around them, Gator barked out orders to his men, his voice cutting through the din of gunfire and roars of the approaching creature. With cool precision, he directed his troops to take up strategic positions outside the only entrance into the command center, their weapons trained on the looming threat that awaited them. With practiced efficiency, the soldiers moved into the positions, their faces set in grim determination as they prepared to face the oncoming assault. Some took cover behind sandbags and barricades, their rifles raised and ready to fire at a moment's notice. Others crouched behind the reinforced walls of the facility, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of movement. In the center of their defensive line stood Gator himself, his gaze fixed on the entrance to the command center, as he braced himself for the inevitable clash with the creature. Despite the chaos and uncertainty that surrounded them, he remained calm and composed, his years of experience in the field serving as a steady anchor in the midst of the storm. With a silent nod to his men, Gator signaled for them to hold their positions. his grip tightening on the rifle slung over his shoulder as he awaited the creature's approach. Every muscle in his body tense with anticipation, his senses sharpened to a razor's edge as he prepared to meet the oncoming threat head on. And as the sound of gunfire and roaring grew louder in the distance, Gator knew that the moment of reckoning was at hand. With a steely resolve in his eyes, he braced himself for the coming battle. "It's getting closer," Welker shouts. The gunfire in the hallway becomes louder, and several soldiers scream out in agony as they are drained of their vitality and killed. "Mulder, please tell me you've got something for us," Gator shouts. I don't get it," Mulder whispers in frustration, frantically tapping the keys of 3 different keyboards, while his eyes dart back and forth across multiple screens. "All the readings are coming back as a revenant." "I call bullshit," Roy shouts. "A revenant couldn't do the damage that fucker is. Your expensive toys are broken, nerd." "Say it is a revenant," Gator begins. "Then what? How does that help us kill it?" "Just don't let it touch you," Kente says smugly. "Unless you want to become even more of a fossil than you already are." "Real fucking funny," Gator growls. "I'll remember that when the thing is turning you into a mummy." As the creature burst into the command center, the soldiers sprang into action, unleashing a barrage of suppressive fire in its direction. Bullets flew through the air with deadly precision, striking the creature's thick hide with a series of dull thuds as it advanced relentlessly towards them. Amidst the chaos, Gator remained calm and focused, his sidearm raised and steady as he took aim at the creature's vital areas. With practiced precision, he squeezed the trigger, sending a stream of bullets towards the creature's eyes and other vulnerable spots, his shots ringing out in rapid succession amidst the roar of gunfire. But the creature proved to be a formidable adversary, its thick hide providing ample protection against Gator's bullets as it continued its relentless advance. With each shot that struck home, it seemed to shrug off the damage with ease, its primal instincts driving it ever onward towards its prey. Undeterred by the creature's resilience, Gator maintained his steady aim, his focus unwavering as he sought to find a weakness in its defenses. With each shot, he adjusted his aim, targeting different areas of the creature's body, in a desperate attempt to bring it down before it could reach them. But even as he fought with all of his might, Gator knew that time was running out. The creature was closing in fast, its massive form looming ever larger in the confined space of the command center. With each passing moment, the soldiers' suppressive fire seemed to have less and less effect, their bullets doing little to slow the creature's relentless advance. "Fuck it," Gator says with frustration, tossing his gun aside and charging forward with his angelic blade Cascavel. As Gator charged forward with his diamond-bladed sword held high, a surge of adrenaline coursed through his veins. He could feel the oppressive weight of the creature's presence bearing down upon them. With each step he took closer to the beast, he sensed his life force being slowly drained away, as if the very air around him had turned thick and suffocating. Undeterred by the ominous sensation, Gator pressed on, his determination unyielding as he closed the distance between himself and the creature. With a primal roar of defiance, he swung his sword in a wide arc, aiming for the creature's exposed flank with all of the strength and skill he could muster. The creature, sensing the threat posed by Gator's blade, lashed out with its massive claws, its movements swift and unpredictable as it sought to fend off the soldier's attack. But Gator was prepared for the creature's assault, his reflexes honed by years of combat experience, as he evaded its strikes with lightning speed. As Gator and the creature clashed in a deadly dance of steel and fury, the soldiers surrounding them unleashed a barrage of gunfire, their bullets finding their marks whenever an opening presented itself. With each shot that struck home, the creature let out a deafening roar of pain, its thick hide no longer offering protection against the soldier's relentless assault. But even as the creature faltered under the combined assault of Gator's blade and the soldier's gunfire, it continued to fight on with all the ferocity of a cornered beast, its massive claws slashing through the air with blinding speed, each strike aimed with deadly precision as it sought to overwhelm Gator and his comrades with its strength. But Gator refused to back down, his resolve unwavering as he pressed the attack with renewed determination. With each swing of his sword, he drove the creature back further and further, inch by inch, until finally, with one final decisive blow, he struck true, his blade piercing the creature's thick hide with a sickening crunch. With a deafening roar, the creature staggered backwards, its massive form teetering on the brink of collapse as it fought to remain standing. With a primal roar of triumph, Gator surged forward, his diamond-bladed sword gleaming in the dim light of the command center as he closed in on the wounded creature. With every ounce of strength he could muster, he drove his blade deep into the creature's heart, his muscles straining with effort as he delivered the killing blow. The creature let out one final agonizing roar before collapsing to the ground in a lifeless heap, its reign of terror finally brought to an end. As the echoes of battle faded from the command center, Gator stood victorious amidst the wreckage, his chest heaving with exertion as he surveyed the aftermath of the fierce struggle. "I want that body collected and analyzed," Fox orders several soldiers. "That sure didn't seem like a normal revenant," Pierce says, lowering his rifle. "They don't normally have such high offensive and defensive capabilities." Gator nods, taking a deep breath of relief. "I could still feel it trying to drain my life force while we fought. So I don't think Mulder's scans were completely off. Whatever it was still related to a revenant." Fox waves down several more soldiers. "Scan the perimeter and make sure there aren't any more of them out there. If you do spot one, do not engage. Return here and report it back to us immediately." "Devils, then a revenant attack?" Welker says. "Coincidence?" "When is it ever?" Gator sighs. "I have a feeling shit is just getting started around here."